Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Just thought I would pop in, talk to you about what's going on in the planets and the stars. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for December 20th through 22nd, 2019. We are just moving into these energies of the solstice. And the solstice is like going to the outer reaches, and there's a shift. It's like the longest day, shortest night. And there's like this energy of pause there in this cycle. And you can kind of feel this mystical, magical pause energy. And that's what also kind of happens, something's very similar in eclipses. And so we're leading up to this total solar eclipse on the 26th. And it's like the solstice energies and the eclipse energies are holding pillars in this very sacred time of the year. And this energy, so the solstice or the eclipses also have this strange outside of time feeling. And so it is like we're being given this great pause before we shift into the new energies of 2020, the intensity of 2020. And there's this mystical, magical quality of possibilities happening because Jupiter will be close to the sun and the moon in Capricorn for this total solar eclipse. And so it's like, 2020, it's intense, but Jupiter's coming along and bringing possibilities, taking it to another octave, taking it to new levels of opportunities for us here. So the other things that we're feeling is that for this week, Mars, we've been talking about Mars and sextile to Saturn, and then Mars and sextile to Pluto. And so this is also very supportive energy, bringing this kind of a creative solutions. It's like, Saturn-Pluto conjunction is intense. It's like a breakdown of what's not working right there with our manifested reality. And it's got this energy of like the hammer coming down, like authority, the laws, the rules, and then like a total disconnect between our physical reality and our bigger sense of self, which is like that Galactic Center activation that we've been feeling. So when Jupiter and Venus last month went over the Galactic Center together, it like started this whole big 3-month energy as the other personal planets go over and reactivate this energy. So the sun is there right now, and the sun is like who we think we are. And so for the solstice, it's a lot about this orienting to a new cosmic identity. And that's being helped along by these sextiles with Mars and sextile to Saturn and with Pluto. It's saying, this is a big deal. But Mars is like, let's see what we can do with it, because we could break down, but we could also manifest, and maybe that's kind of the energy of the sextiles is kind of like that, like a little breaking down, a little manifesting the new, a little more breaking down, jimmying the lock a little bit, a little here, a little there. But Mars is in Scorpio making these sextiles, and Scorpio is about this deep hidden stuff in our psyche. So the adjustments, the magic were, the tools, the which is interesting. It kind of makes me think of alchemy with where the ancient alchemists were working on taking the heavy dross materials and turning them into light in their body, in the world. This is alchemy. And this is exactly this energy. It's like, maybe we should use the intensity for our advantage and remember that we're heading towards something very specific. We've been pulled off this path lifetime after lifetime, told it's not possible, told it's not real, told we're something completely different than who we are, but we cannot get rid of this path, this spiritual path, this destiny. And a lot of the energy of this really intense time is this divine timeline landing on the earth, adjusting all the other timelines. Maybe you're not ready to jump right on that divine timeline, but it's like it's tuning the strings of these timelines kind of, and we're like going, what's going on? Am I going forward or back or over to the side, or like what's happening? And that's kind of what it feels. It's almost like our being is being stretched and pulled in different directions as we try to go into these new energies. So the universe is trying to help us through this transition. And can we do it in a harmonious way? And that's what this Mars sextile, but harmony comes from being willing to clear out those deep stuck patterns in our psyche, right? And so that's those of course on the surface, and yet there's creative solutions available so we can use those experiences, use that hidden energy, use that intensity of like what we haven't been able to face maybe for lifetimes, but use it now to get out of the trap, to get out of the old stories, to get out of the wheel of suffering and create something new. And that's ultimately what this astrology is all about, because Saturn represents our manifest world and manifesting, and home in Capricorn. And then Pluto there is like breaking down what's not serving. And so it's like, let's make sure if we're going to build something, it's really in alignment. Like, we don't want any fake stuff anymore. We don't want these lies. We don't want to live this half truth, right? Like, let's build, but let's build something real and meaningful and true to our inner essence and to our true soul essence. So the other thing we're also feeling exact today is Mercury in that square to Neptune, which is exactly along those lines. Now, this is the tension aspect. So often we'll feel these more. And this is where it's like, where's our thinking not being able to shift? Because probably of the stuck stuff in our subconscious, right? So where is our thinking, our perspective? If you're still, so many people right now are going back and forth between the lighter energies of joy and peace and wow, something amazing is going on, right? And then back to the heavy misery, hopeless, right? It's like back in between these two levels of consciousness and the matrix energy and the lower psychological personality constructs, and then the higher possibilities. And that's kind of definitely what this Mercury square Neptune is speaking to, is like what needs to shift to get out of these old patterns of the Piscean age. And with a square energy, it's that end of the road. It's got to be a dramatic shift, right? It's not Band-Aid stuff. It's like radical shift of perspective, which is required. And that has to do with who we are in relationship to the greater, wider cosmos, with this Galactic Center activation going on. Now, Mercury is going to be getting close to the Galactic Center. It's so powerful because we talk about these pillars of experience, these portals, and then in between, it's almost like a gateway is being created between the solstice energies and the eclipse energies. And so around the solstice, that's when the sun right now is passing over the Galactic Center, and then around the eclipse, Mercury passes over the Galactic Center. And so it's just like a bell ringing we talked about, and maybe that plucking of the strings, trying to bring them, tuning the strings, trying to bring our timelines resonant frequency so we can get on the path that's best for us right now. So that's a lot of the energies going on. And so also today, Venus moves into Aquarius. So this is interesting because this is like a little bit of a break in the clouds energy, like, hey, you guys, I made it to the other side, and then Venus is kind of like, well, do I deserve to be here? Is it okay? Should I step back over into the darkness, into the misery timeline, or can I be on the divine timeline? Venus is the first group of this, our whole group of personal planets, the first one to make it into Aquarius, bringing us some energy of like, hey, there is a bigger picture to this, you guys. And can we let the light in? But Venus moving into Aquarius comes smack dab into that square with Uranus. And so we are looking at that energy of self-worth. And I work with so many amazing souls, and I see this light and this power and this work and all the gifts that they've worked on for so many lifetimes and evolutions. And the one thing keeping them from fully owning it and using it in this world is whether or not they think they deserve it. So this is Venus and square to Uranus. It's like, okay, what if a new paradigm's landing? Your higher self's calling to you. It's like time to get hooked back up to who you really are and get back to work and start really living and figure out what in the heck this whole Earth evolution has been about. Except, only if you feel worthy. And it's like, this is a birthright thing. Like, it's just who we are in the universe, our I am consciousness and what's happening on the planet. Like, it's not about deserving or not deserving. Although if we are staying in that old paradigm of low self-worth, then of course we're going to keep creating those lower energies of misery, of abuse, of trauma. And because that's what we think we deserve. So Venus has got a huge message for us. Like, what if it's all there waiting just on the other side of the gate? But the gate is your prison, and maybe you'd like to stay there rather than into the Garden of Eden, And that's fine. You can stay in prison. You can stay in the misery timeline. It's fine. Everybody has their own individual personal choice here. That's what the definition of this ascension in this Earth evolution, doing it consciously in a body. And, but we're really being forced to examine those vulnerabilities, those sensitivities, the programming that goes back typically to so-called failures in past lives, where you bought into that your power or who you are is a bad thing, And so that's necessary programming to keep you from who you really are. Do you see the game? You, as who you really are, fully embodied, is the biggest threat to the lower matrix control energies. And of course, there's fear programming there. Of course, you're going to be targeted. The more you're targeted, the more profound your abilities. And it's not a scary thing. Because when we were working with these technologies in the past, and we had this whole energy of we were told the story that we misused the technology. Well, I'll tell you right now, that's not you guys. Yes, just like today, a small percentage of the elite class is controlling the whole world, right? And that's exactly what happened, say in the Atlantean catastrophes. It was a very small amount of distorted dark forces, control energies that had come in. And it was a very convenient way to target these souls so that they'd never go through with their spiritual ascension. Get back in your prison, get back in your box, get back in your quarantine, right? And yet, wait, why would you even have these higher faculties? Okay, so in those ancient times, we were using tools to amplify these faculties, external devices and technologies. So that's one reason why it's absolutely completely safe to access this technology in your very own body. Is your birthright. Why would you have something in your consciousness that's not safe for you to access? It's a lie. And then the other thing is that part of being a soul that you are, you came into this Earth evolution as a purified soul. You'd already worked on your astral body. You'd already done all of this purification. Maybe perhaps these souls are very naive to the level of evil, so you were manipulated. And things happened that you were blamed for. You took the blame for, and that's maybe part of this low self-worth. But the heart energy, the cosmic heart consciousness in our heart, our love, our compassion, which is a natural state of this soul, underneath all the stories and garbage and grossness that got laid on top of you. But when you're working with the higher faculties and in alignment with your heart, which is also in alignment with Mother Earth, it's completely safe. So these fear programming that's coming up for so many people as we move into these new awakening energies, of course it's like a necessary part of the journey. where you get these false messages that it's not safe, you don't have permission, you're going to be punished for it, you could blow up the planet or kill yourself or kill other people. Lies, 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 And so this is a time where there's this big crack in the lower matrix, and we can see it's like a lightning bolt coming in, and we can see just for a moment the whole truth that got us here. It might not make sense yet, but this is like a big flash of galactic light from the great mother of all that's saying, just look at who you are, and how can you do that? And then continue to play small in that small container. So that's Pluto breaking down that too small of container, these constructs, mental constructs, belief systems, structures of our world, structures of your life. So that's bringing uncertain time, but ultimately we're going through all this uncertainty. We're going through all this like not feeling safe, feeling anxiety in order to come into true spiritual safety, which is our soul home, and this has been robbed from us. And there's been all these control energies telling us that we need them to keep us safe. They're going to keep us safe from ourselves, safe from our true power. And so there's so much on the table in that Mercury square, Neptune, huge review of these belief systems that were fully instated in the Piscean age, but it's been going on all the way to Atlantean time. And then Venus square Uranus is like, can you let go of all those old stories? Because you can't deserve or not deserve the light of who you are. It's who you are. And so are you ready to receive it? And drop all these old stories. So just a really intense, powerful time. And I hope you can consider joining me for the Solstice Soul Group Session, a group intuitive session where we look at shared past life pictures, get clearings, get contractual stuff, maybe timeline alignment, soul retrieval work. We'll see what comes up. Definitely timelines are coming up around these pillars of light. And so there's a Solstice Soul Group Session just a couple hours before the exact solstice, Saturday night, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. And then there's also a total eclipse session just a couple hours, as the eclipse is already happening, but just an hour or two before the full eclipse. This eclipse is visible in Southeast Asia, the tip of India, a little bit of Saudi Arabia. And so it's not visible very much in the world, but it's a big one and we're going to be feeling it. And so these are like pillars of light. So anyway, if you sign up for the Solstice Soul Group Session, there's a coupon in the chat for 50% off the eclipse session, because it'd be really great to have a continuum of energy as we plant these pillars of light into the earth and claim back our birthright of who we really are as cosmic source energy beings, fully purified and evolved to the perfect point at this perfect time and right where we need to be. So a really great and exciting energy, and I hope you find this peace in this season and try to find that quiet time in all of the craziness to be present for these energies, because this universe is speaking to us in very powerful ways. And so we need to open our ears and hear and be present to see this big flash of light and what it might mean for us individually and the world in this great remembering process. So I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update tomorrow for day 21 days of presence, perhaps on the soul group sessions. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.